Did you miss us? Mike Schopp, Adam Krautwurst. The Deep End is back. I mean, don't all answer all at once. We have week 15. Thursday night football is tonight, going on a Thursday this week. That's the way it worked out. Happy to be back with you. There's high stakes action. There's a lot to figure out here, even without waivers. I did not miss waivers. I thought I would a little bit. I thought it was like it had become such a routine, almost like a companion, having to figure out whether to put a $6 bid in on so-and-so's fourth string running back. But in the FFPC world and much of the high stakes world, that is in the past. We'll talk Niners, Seahawks, the weather for Dolphins Bills Saturday night here in Western New York, and answer a lot of your start-sit questions best we can. Happy holidays. Mike Schopp, Adam Krautwurst. Welcome to the Deep End. Did you miss doing waivers?
No, not at all. In fact, I didn't know. I mean, I missed it in the sense where I didn't know what to do with myself, but I just went to the gym, Mike. That's what I did. I'm like, what do I? Because normally it's like a daytime. It's all week. It's all week. Every free moment, it's waivers, right? So now it's like, oh, I can do other stuff. So, but I mean, so I'm still in some leagues that have waivers, some home leagues, some high stakes. The non-tournament high stakes stuff, there's still waivers. Kentucky, there's waivers. So, but not nowhere near as much.
The good news is we have time to go to the gym or watch old Mork and Mindy episodes or whatever I did on Wednesday night. The bad news is, for some of us, we are stuck with Kyler Murray's IR future the rest of the way. How about that? The next night after it all closes, Monday night, that's the first night where, Sunday games, I guess, but this is your team. This is your team. And to lose Murray, plus maybe even more so, more damaging is like that night for so many people who needed, just give me 6 points. What is that? That's nothing. Whatever that is. Hopefully that didn't happen to you. We were both heavily into Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, I've got a ton of Kyler Murray. Honestly. So I had a bunch of people over for another event at my house, and so I've kind of got the game on in the corner of my eye, and I see it happen, and I get the cold sweats. Like I'm trying to mingle with people, but I'm also like, oh my God, what did this do to me? As I'm trying to look through lineups, but my son, it was the worst is when something happens to your kids. I think my son is like down 16 points with Ramondre Stevenson and Kyler Murray to get into the playoffs. And doesn't.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was just heartbreak hotel towel. It's like, listen, bro, this is fantasy football, my friend. So, but yeah, no, it stinks, and but hey, it's part of the game.
I needed Hollywood Brown a little bit for a third place finish in the main event, like basically one catch with Louis G. And I was telling my wife, we watched Arizona a few weeks ago when we lost Rondale Moore on the first play. Let's not have that. Let's not lose somebody on the first play. It was the third play. It was obvious that he was hurt bad. Like as soon as he went down, you just knew.
Yeah.
The slow motion, you see, there's like this little hesitation where as he's running, he doesn't know whether he wants to cut back in or do what, and then it goes. And that's just terrible to see.
Just brutal.
My luck has been running good. Pierre Strong is on my Draft Sharks team, and I had forgotten that. So I was calculating scores last week without even remembering that I had New England's maybe fourth running back, at least third, and 17 points in a week where I needed that badly. 17 out. I think it's the same number behind John Scuderi. 3 weeks to go. Exciting.
Very, very exciting.
Yep. So I'm in the Buffalo area, north of the city, where we don't usually sometimes even get touched by the snow that the city gets and south of the city gets, Adams and Rochester. It's looking like it's going to be a snow day on Saturday for Bills Dolphins. What do you think?
Yeah, they're talking about a foot of snow, up to a foot of snow, like on the field pregame, stuff like that. Like, I'm off from a fantasy perspective. I'm off Tua. I know we got a bunch of, and we might get to a Tua question tonight, but I'm off Tua completely. He's almost unstartable to me in a game like this where, you've got a guy where the last 2 times he's played the Bills, he hasn't made it out of the game. Now he came back in the one game he shouldn't have been allowed to, but he did. But he got knocked out of those 2 games. And the Bills defense is much healthier and they're really good and they're coming for him because they lost earlier in the year. and the weather, and he's not used to it. I just think that Tua, the reason why you draft, and maybe this is just used to be a thing, I don't know if it's still a thing anymore, but when you live in these cold cities, you want to draft these big, strong-armed quarterbacks for games like this. Your Ben Roethlisbergers, your Josh Allen's, your big, strong-armed quarterbacks to cut through this wind and this cold and all that stuff. So Tua is the exact opposite of that. He's not big. He's got probably one of the weakest arms in the league. So I'm completely off of Tua. I got Jalen Waddle. I have Waddle as a wide receiver 3. Tyreek Hill, you're starting because he can pick up a fumble and score from 60 yards out. So you're obviously starting him. And I'm only on Allen and Diggs for the Bills. I wouldn't start anybody else. I wouldn't like to start anybody else if I had the choice to. So I expect a low scoring game for both teams. Miami still has never really figured out how to stop Josh Allen. They won last time. They didn't put up a lot of points, but Allen had like 450 total yards of offense, and they should have scored way more than they did. So, but that's kind of my take on the weather and the fantasy implications.
The total is 44 as of this afternoon. That's higher than tonight's game. That's not a bad number. And the storm has kind of been known all week. So I guess I want to be a little bit less pessimistic than you on the overall in this game. I've been saying a lot on WGR this week. I'm feeling very almost overconfident about the Bills defensively against Miami, with Hill hobbled even maybe, or even Waddle too. Like just the pressure they can bring. They're much healthier. You said most of it at home. You never assume anything in the NFL, but I'm having a tough time imagining Miami scoring, 3 touchdowns in this game.
Right.
But I don't like the Bills offense as much as I used to. It's been a while since they were really sharp, and they're going into their past to try to find help. And, Beasley, I think, could work out, but it doesn't look great either. So it's not really so much about the weather, but I am a little bit like in between where you are and where that line is for what kind of offense in this game. Davis, I don't want to be afraid of Davis, at least. If there's one guy I would want to play that you wouldn't, I guess it would be him. Maybe what they get from Beasley opens up more down the field for him, and I think he's still very important. So risky, but he always has been. Yeah,
more risky than usual. I'm down on the Bills offense, kind of like you are. It's lost some pizzazz here, but yeah, we'll see. I don't expect I think that Gabe Davis isn't a guy where, like, if you don't start him, I don't think he's going to crush you, even though he's had massive games. I don't think this is the game where he would have a massive game. So maybe he scores, but you always have that with every player. Like maybe he scores, maybe he doesn't. So who knows? All right, you want to turn to tonight, or are we doing lineup questions? Yeah, let's just do Let's do some lineup questions. Some of them are going to have to do it tonight, and we got about 10 of those, and people can pop into those. I know the game's starting soon, so these came from our Twitter, from the Discord, Draft Sharks Discord. So Elijah Moore or Evan Ingram. This is non-tight end premium. Mike, what do you think? Moore has Detroit. Ingram has Dallas. Yep. Non-tight end premium. I think Ingram for me. Moore is trending up, and you probably like the matchup. Jets are home. Don't know the weather, but obviously you sort of feel a little wary about going to a guy that is coming off an insanely good week. But, target volume there, and Jacksonville's kind of rolling. Why wouldn't they want to some extent try to repeat that? Great matchup, Lawrence against that defense. I think Ingram is okay here. And I'm somebody that's trying to force Elijah Moore in all the time. Close for me, but I'll lean Ingram. Yeah, I think it's definitely close. I think I lean Ingram too. I hate to say, like, especially coming off a 40-something point game that Ingram just had. I hate to say that, like, maybe Elijah Moore has a little bit more upside in this matchup against the Lions, and Ingram has a higher floor. I just think that at this point, the Jaguars have shown all year that they are willing and want to get Evan Ingram involved, and so they have a pretty decent matchup against the Cowboys here. It's not a super negative one, but it's hopefully a shootout, right? Good weather. All that type of stuff. Whereas Elijah Moore, and for him to, even his best games are, he catches a short one and breaks a tackle and scores a long one. So, yeah, I think I would lean Evan Ingram here. I don't think either one of them, I don't think the wrong decision is going to absolutely kill you. Plus, I would hate to bench Ingram coming off a 40-something point game, but yeah, I would lean Ingram also.
Do we have Corey Davis this week or no?
I don't know. I don't think so. What was it? It was a concussion, right? So
it was a concussion right at the beginning of the Bills game. I heard something a little bit optimistic about him earlier in the week. And if he plays, then he's in your way. Like that's
right, for sure.
Somebody you play Elijah Moore probably because Davis isn't there.
Yeah.
But really interesting game. Totals around mid-40s as well for that one. It'd be great to see it be like a Lions home game and
I know.
Go nuts.
I know. All right. The next one, which I answered this earlier with Tua not being able to throw. So I just copy and pasted these. If there's typos, please excuse me. With Tua not being able to throw.
The customer is always right.
The customer's always right.
Adam saying like, it's my fault. If you misspelled these in your messages to me, I'll take the blame for that. It's me. I won't. I had nothing to do with it. But Adam's like, I'll take the blame.
With Tua not being able to throw versus press man, Tua or Cousins, I would start pretty much almost any quarterback over Tua this week. So definitely Cousins for me. Well, what do you think, Mike?
Cousins is a pretty good matchup this week. Isn't he home against Indianapolis? Is that?
Yeah. Let me see.
I don't know.
I know who he's playing. I just want to see the actual.
Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, so it's a neutral matchup against Indy, but neutral but positive.
I like him at home late in the year. They have a chance to clinch the NFC North here against a Colt team that can just sort of disappear. So yeah, like Cousins is somebody where I wouldn't worry about this. You know, we were talking about Tua today a little bit, and tonight's quarterback, Brock Purdy. Tua versus Brock Purdy. I think I would be Tua there, but it was not unanimous in my circles.
Yep. And you have some good circles too. So
do I?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Cousins is our dynasty 1K quarterback. We got 3 weeks to go. We need to score.
Let's go. It's time. All right. Would you guys from DKB? Would you guys go Ayuk or Christian Watson? He's worried about the regression with Watson, and you know the regression is certainly something. He's not going to score every single game the rest of his life. I get it. But Ayuk has a super tough matchup tonight. Again, they don't give up much to wide receiver ones. Seattle doesn't. So I'm leaning up. You know, I did some under bets on Ayuk for this game. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think McCaffrey's going to run all over him tonight. I think that's going to be. And Purdy injured, and we don't really know what Purdy is yet. I mean, you know, he could come out. He could be Mike White from last year. Had 2 great games. Then he went against the Bills and threw 5 picks or 4 picks. So it could be that type of situation. So I'm leaning away from Ayuk and probably going towards Christian Watson here.
I like Ayuk more than you do. I like Seattle in the game because the spread is weird for me that San Francisco is rolling like they are and Seattle loses at home to Carolina and is getting roughed up, but it's a 3.5 point spread. So I like Seattle in the game for that reason. If they get ahead, that's of course better for the other team's pass catchers. Ayuk with Samuel out, there are things to like there, but man, especially if you're playing in the sprint, like the FFPC or whatever, Christian Watson is very tough to sit. I mean, just the ceiling is so high. Rams on Monday night. Green Bay could roll there.
Yeah.
Very cold if you care about that, but I think I wouldn't worry about that too much. Dobbs is healthy for Green Bay. That could cut in also, but it'd be very hard for me to sit Christian Watson almost against anybody.
Yeah, I'm leaning Watson here. San Francisco, Seattle also was the 3rd worst matchup on the week for opposing receivers. So there is that. Again, it's I think it's going to be tough for them to pass the ball.
Look at you with the matchups. Are you reading the Shark Bites?
I've read the Shark Bites once or twice, but no, I'm actually in the expected fantasy point or fantasy. Where am I? Hold on. I want to get it right. Fantasy points allowed under the regular season intel here on DraftSharks.com. So
very good.
Some great tools there. All right, next one. Let me read this and then I'll answer it because I looked at this earlier and then give you some time to think because it's a lot. Need 5 players for running back, receiver. So basically 2 running backs, a flex, and 2 receivers, non-PPR. Barkley, Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Xavier Knight, Dobbins, Wilson, McLaurin, Godwin. So I would go definitely Barkley, not that I love it, Kamara, which I do love, and I would go Knight over Walker or Dobbins for that flex spot. I just think they're rolling. I think the matchup with Detroit at home, that game probably won't get away from them because I think their defense is really good and Detroit's offense is not great away from home. So I like Zonovan Knight there with the matchup. And then for the two receivers, I would probably go Wilson and McLaurin. McLaurin coming off a bye against the Giants' weak pass defense. Wilson against a weak weak Jet. Wilson, weak Lions defense, pass wise. So those are my guys I would go with.
Garrett Wilson, number 1. Godwin, number 2 for me against Cincinnati.
Okay.
McLaurin is okay, but you really have to squeeze out those points with McLaurin. And I don't know, NFC East rematch. It's the second game in a row Washington will have played against the Giants. Love McLaurin as a player. Who doesn't?
And what's curious too, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but Washington played the Giants, bye week Giants. The Giants played last week. Washington's had 2 full weeks to just sit back and study the Giants after playing them. So I think McLaurin might come out of the bye week here and he might smash. I think the upside there is big for him. I mean, Godwin obviously has great upside too. It's just Tampa Bay just scares me.
Hopefully they got outside for 1 or 2 of those days instead of just cramming all the time on the Giants. You study one subject, it's like the SAT. You got to get breaks. You got to go to Key Largo and just sort of unwind.
That's right. Listen to some Beach Boys,
Giants overload. I like Wilson the most. I like Godwin fine. I mean, that has looked so tough, so rough, Tampa Bay on offense, but Godwin's the number 1. Kamara for me. And then I would go Knight second. Barkley, man, the Draft Sharks strength of schedule a month ago. Like, get out on Saquon Barkley and what's happened. And he got hurt too. I mean, the question with Barkley, I talked with Eric Balkman last night on his show, the Better Sports Network. And it was Barkley versus Zonovan Knight. And I was like, you shouldn't be afraid to sit Barkley, because when you recognize that somebody's name power is playing into your thinking, you got to flush that out, because that means nothing now. I wouldn't play Dobbins. I think that's still a timeshare. Walker, the problem is the matchup, but such a nice player. All right, give me Kamara, Knight, Wilson, Godwin, and Barkley.
I like it. All right. PPR flex spot. Swift, Dobbins, or Marquise Brown. I don't have any Swift except for maybe some dynasty. I'm in on Swift this week. Jared Small is always tweeting out like, hey, when he's on the injury report, these are his carries and touches and points, and they're always low. And then when he's not on the injury report, they're always high. I think he's been off the injury report this week. I think this is a Swift week in a game where they could put up some points. And if they do, it's probably going to be on the ground against a good Jets pass defense. And he catches the ball too. PPR flex spot. So I lean Swift.
I don't love Swift, but I really don't like the other 2 options here. Yeah. Brown against a Denver defense with Colt McCoy, and Dobbins. I mean, again, there's just no knowing whether he'll play half the snaps for Baltimore with Drake and Edwards and Tyler Huntley at the Browns. They're an underdog. Swift.
Like it. All right, here's one for you. Which tight end should I start? Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, or Chiggy Okonkwo?
Well done. We don't know yet on either Waller or Goddard. Goddard's talking, and the Eagles are all talking about, yes. I haven't heard that on Waller. So I'd be more confident in Goddard than Waller. Okonkwo is fine. What you don't have yet, there's plenty of hype. What you don't have yet is, real usage. But the guy has produced anyway. He's catching all his targets, getting in the end zone. They have the Chargers. I'd like the idea of that game sort of running hot. And maybe that's a game where Tennessee needs to throw the ball, which they hate. Okonkwo, that was last week. That's how Okonkwo got there. One part of how he got there, because he scored early, so that's not exactly right. Goddard they're a big favorite, and it's just a little sketchy how much a guy like that would play. If he is active, it's the bare minimum for IR service, 4 weeks, and then even before his 4 weeks expired, they were talking him up. So maybe it's okay. I'm not really giving you an answer here. I guess I'm stalling.
Yeah, well, I'll give a little. I would lean Dallas. I would lean Goddard here. Here's the thing: when Burks is out, Okonkwo is much better. This will be his second week in a row missed from a concussion, and they're saying he hasn't really practiced yet. He hasn't cleared protocol, so that would push Okonkwo a little bit higher for me. But like you said, Goddard, we don't know how much he's going to play, but they've been pretty optimistic about him moving forward here. I just don't think I could sit him. Waller's out for me. He wasn't performing when he was healthy, and so I mean, he could blow up. I don't expect him to. So it would be Goddard for me, although they do. They don't have the best matchup against the Bears, but I think it's a bottom five matchup, bottom five tight end matchup. But the Titans aren't much better; they're one higher against the Chargers. So it's Dallas Goedert for me.
I will take Sir Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Have to. That's your guy.
Draft Sharks. Hashtag Draft Sharks Invitational.
Brady.
Goddard's on that team too.
Oh yeah, listen, he's back just in time.
And Kelsey.
Brady or Tannehill in Superflex?
Brady.
Yeah, I agree. Just cause
make it work. Playing for the division, home against the Bengals. Joe Burrow on the other side. See Brady. I'm not rooting for him, but we could get a Brady game. At least something better than we've had lately.
All right. Travis Etienne or AJ Dillon? We got a couple of these questions. We got a couple of AJ Dillon questions.
This is Etienne for me.
This is Etienne easily for me. I don't want to go into a big. I know we got probably 5 more minutes left, but it's definitely Etienne for me. He can get there on straight rushing yards over Dillon, or catches over Dillon, or touchdowns over Dillon. So Dillon's got to score. Dillon to me is like Kenneth Walker tonight. I feel like he's got to score to do anything for you.
I do like the likely game script for Dillon. Super cold and a 7-point favorite or more. They could have an easy night, but I feel like Jones is in, and Etienne is the full-time Jacksonville running back on a good team. Looks like a good team, so I'll take him.
Yeah. All right, this is the Football Guys Tournament Sprint. Pick 2, Lazard, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Chigio, or Dulcich.
I am in the sprint with 3 teams, and I will say leave them all on your bench. I wouldn't want to start anybody. It's too dangerous. No. Deontay Johnson, a hip thing, and is he lobbying for Mason Rudolph? So weird, Pittsburgh. This often happens with them. I don't know. Johnson, like the touchdown, you still eluded him this year. I guess I want to say it's one of the 4 or two of the 5. I would not pick Lazard. I would pick Evans and Johnson, right?
Yeah. To me, it's Evans, Johnson, or Evans, Dulcich. Deontay Johnson, are you in the camp? I don't think you're in this camp, but I am. But I'm probably wrong. Are you in the like a guy's got to score eventually camp? Like, or are you just like perfectly okay with?
No. Yeah, I don't think it's a flaw. I mean, he's put up touchdown years in his career. It's just it happens, and some of the usage is going to be different quarterback and everything, which really kind of a different coordinator, not literally, but it is. So, I mean, it doesn't have to happen. Take Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy had 6 touchdowns for his career, and last week scored 3 times. Good is good. So that's Evans too. Evans' his whole career is catching touchdown passes, and that has stopped. That's what makes this kind of a situation, a sort of a problem for the manager, because all the way the season has gone, and you just want to know when to move on. In this team's case, I would not move on yet. I would play Johnson and Evans, and maybe in the sprint, other teams won't.
Right. And again, it's the sprint. Like you want upside here. And Deontay Johnson, they have a great matchup against Carolina. He could score once, twice. Evans, same thing, once, twice. So those are the guys that I would lean towards. Let's see, we got a couple more. Let's get a defensive question in here. What do you think? Colts defense or Titans defense? I gotta see.
These are all like this to some extent, but what are your chances of being right?
Right.
53%. What are your chances of being right? If that. The Colts have Tennessee Chargers, Colts, Minnesota.
Yeah, those are both tough options here. I think it also depends on what, like I play mostly in the high stakes world, FFPC, FFWC. Like there's just no points to be had. Like to me, the way I try to look at it is like who has the best chance to score. You
Yep.
know, who's got and it's like so who's on the offensive line for the other team, the O line, D line matchups, who's scoring touchdowns, who's gonna strip sacks, stuff like that. Because points, like unless you're holding a team under 10 points, you're not getting any points there for your defense. So, who do you think is gonna who do you think has a chance to score? So
I've decided Tennessee here decisively.
me too.
Would it really be that surprising if they went to LA and had a Vrabel game and won like 37-16?
Nope.
Like, Titans.
Nope. That's exactly what I would pick the Titans. Vrabel's a great defensive coach. All right, let's probably get to this one because it's tonight's game. Superflex. Start two of these three. Purdy versus Seahawks, Mayfield versus Packers. I can't believe here we are. Mayfield versus Packers. And Matt Ryan versus the Vikings. I would go Ryan and probably Purdy.
Me too.
Even though I don't like Purdy tonight, but Mayfield versus the Packers in the cold in Green Bay. It's in Green Bay, right?
Yep.
On Monday night, yeah. I think it's the best way to go there. And last one. Tight end, Taysom Hill, tight end quarterback, Taysom Hill, or Hunter Henry PPR.
Hill.
Ain't really.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Well, the floor for each guy is like 3 points, 4 points, and Henry's ceiling is probably, I don't know. I mean, he has had good games. The one against Minnesota even should have had another touchdown, but 15. And Taysom Hill against Atlanta could be 25. So I would play Hill here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Henry's floor is higher. Again, I don't know if this is the sprint or not, or just a home league, but I think Hill's, Hill's higher with the ceiling, but I think Henry's higher with the floor. He's just looked so good. Like Henry's looked so good when he's given the opportunity, and it's just I don't get it. I don't know. Whatever. We've talked about it a bunch.
What did you get Monday night from him? Like he was a very popular play in that Arizona game. Maybe the game was just bastardized by the fact that Murray got hurt. But what did Henry put up in that game?
I don't know. I'm trying to look. I know he got a beautiful seam route. I think he had 13 maybe.
I got it. 3 for 70.
Yeah, 10. And one of them was on a beautiful seam route, like a 40-yard seam route. It's tackled inside the 5, So yeah, I mean
it's close, but
it's a coin flip.
I don't know. I'm very good chance at the Raiders. Very good chance Henry could produce here, but here's our tight end in the same Dynasty 1K 3-week sprint. Adam, Taysom Hill is our guy. Although we have Henry, this is a question. You put this question in.
I flipped it in just to see if you recognize it.
We have this choice because Pitts is out. Because of course we would have played Kyle Pitts had he been healthy.
Of course,
but these are our other 2 tight ends. I have Hill in there for us right now. I mean, I didn't realize.
Leave it in there. You seem very confident. I'm not gonna make you change it. I have one for myself before we go. T. Higgins or Juju Smith-Schuster. So we got Juju in a tough matchup against, I can't believe I'm saying this, the Texans don't allow number 1 receiver. They've only allowed 1 wide receiver to be in a top 12. That was Michael Pittman week 1. Now they, this is a different animal here with the Chiefs offense. But the only reason why it's a question for me is because of Higgins has burned me twice. He burned you too this year with playing. He's not playing. I think if we get good reports from him this week, and I'm going to be locked into him pregame, I'm going to find the pregame feed and be locked into it. I'm going to go Higgins probably if he's healthy, but it is a concern for me.
It is a concern, but I would easily choose Higgins there based on what I know. And I think the Chief thing is just so all over the board week to week on who the right play is. Juju's been fine. I just have a hunch they struggle a little bit in Houston. They had the Rams a couple of weeks ago, and that game was kind of a slog, and they won easily. They're kind of like the Bills have had a couple times here in recent weeks. They could also listen. I mean, I was going to say they could just torch the Texans. They did that to Denver, and the game ended up being a 6-point game. There was 27-0 in the second quarter, and then So I'm certainly not afraid to fade the Chief guys, especially like the mid-range Chief guys this week.
Yep. All right.
Do I have one for you? Should I have prepared one of these? Okay. Main event.
Main event.
5 wide receivers. Who do we sit? Diggs, Lamb, Godwin, Waddle, Olave.
Waddle.
Weather.
Yep.
And matchup.
And matchup. Weather, matchup. Yeah, Bill. Yeah, exactly. All those things. I mean, there's especially this is main event, so it's the race. Yeah, I think the upside in this weather for anybody is going to be not as high as the other ones. I'd be excited to start Chris Olave.
That team is a Prescott team. We have Everett and Goddard.
Everett Goddard. Yes, Goddard.
And then the running backs are Pacheco and you're waiting so patiently.
I like Pacheco. I think I'm going to say Isaiah Pacheco.
ETN are the 2 running backs.
Oh, those are your starters. Yep.
Yeah.
What a great week.
Gibson on the bench.
What a great week against Houston for the. I think they're going to run the ball all over them. I think it's going to be more of they're going to run it up and down the field, and then hopefully Kelsey gets 2 or 3 scores because I got Kelsey in a couple spots.
So it's exciting. It's
like
the most wonderful time of the year. It is the most wonderful time of the year, is it not? Come on.
It is, for sure.
All right. A little bit different style tonight, running through lineup questions. Hope we helped. Hope you had a fun time watching. Back next week. Coming up soon enough will be playoff challenge shows. We'll get together with Matt and Jared, the Draft Sharks guys, and put together some playoff challenge rosters, right?
Yeah, I wanted to do some underdog playoff stuff this week, but we got pushed back to tonight, and I figured tonight we'll do lineups. And so next week we'll dive into the underdog because they're already doing playoff drafts on underdog, and so we can talk about some of that stuff.
Best Ball Mania, are you well represented? I'm
not in the Best Ball Mania. I've got like a couple teams through. I didn't draft a lot of those. I have a couple teams through there, but all the Superflex tournaments I did really well in. On FFWC, FFPC, underdog. I don't know. I want to say I did really well, but I did much better in those than I did in the non-Superflex. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I have 14 Best Ball Mania teams through. Some have Murray, but that's how that goes. Lou and I are 14th overall in the player profiler at FFWC, so that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Main event, FBG, and the one I really want, that Draft Sharks Invitational, buddy. That's the one I really want.
There you go. I'm second overall in the Kentucky main event, which is 25K up top. So, and nice. I'm pretty healthy. So that's all I care about right now. Do I have a little bit of depth? Do I have a little bit of health? So we'll see.
You like that team, right?
I do like that team a lot. Yeah, that's a big Mike team. Big Mike Williams coming back to save the day last week. So,
yeah, that's for sure. I sat him for Amari Cooper last week. Got by, but tough call.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad decision. How about this week? Cooper versus Mike Williams.
I'm on Williams. That team. So that team is a NFFC team in the RotoWire, and you start 3 receivers and 1 flex. That team is Jefferson, Tyreek, Godwin, Williams, Cooper. One of them sits.
Williams. What Williams? I'm
Mike Williams.
Oh yeah. Duh. I just said Big Mike.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's Cooper probably sits.
Not Tyreek. You wouldn't have the nerve to start.
No, I'm not. Listen, this is the deep end. I don't go that deep. Okay.
All right. Let's hope we get a fun game tonight. A lot of very relevant players: McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, Walker, Metcalf, Lockett, Geno Smith, who is the quarterback of that team I just mentioned. Good luck out there. Tweet us at DeepEndFF1, at Shope Talk, at Adam Krautwurst. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.